Seeing different cultures and how food is the language that we all can. Yeah. It's like a universal language.
Everyone knows to eat.
I'm going to 2 different places. I'm growing in 2 places at once. Just anybody who's interested in farming, just trying to see as many farms as possible before you jump out and do it yourself, to see what you don't want to do. My farm right now is a mashup of a bunch of things that I've taken from other farmers, and we're trying to see how it works. I'm interested in seeing how plants can grow and how they can do it themselves. Without being babied, without being maintained. I'm not here full time. I leave in the summer because it's hard. I don't feel like I get a break, you know. Yeah. Winter time for a lot of farmers, they at least get to, I mean, you're always working, you know. Right. If you're ordering seeds, you're crop planting, you're always kind of working, but you're not so much doing the hard labor. But it feels like for me, I'm just going back and forth and planting, and I drove across the country with flats of seeds last season. There are many layers of agriculture where people can jump in. I rescued a dog. I was working in New Orleans at a dog pet place, and there was a dog there that nobody wanted. It was a bad dog. But when we met, I just locked eyes with him, and it was so true love at first sight. And he was a dog that I rescued. He's not here with us anymore. It's just a little homage. There are no bad dogs, and it's just kind of homage to like something that, I don't know how to describe it. Yeah. My heart.
It's kind of like a tribute to
a bad dog.
Yeah.
He wasn't.
That's awesome. So what do you have going on here?
Yeah, right here I'm on 2.4 acres, I think. I don't know, I've been here maybe a year and a half. I'm not here full time. I leave in the summers. I'm really lucky to do so.
And that's a really cool part about your story.
Correct. Yeah, I'm going to 2 different places. I'm growing in 2 places at once. I am from a small mountain town in California, alpine, very high in altitude. Starts getting really cold, and like early September is usually the first frost, maybe even end of August sometimes, and a lot of snowpack. Yeah. So the growing season there is very short. You can definitely plant at the beginning of June knowing there won't be a frost, hopefully.
Oh my.
And then, usually by September. So it's a solid 3 months. It's really quick, but I'm doing some stuff there, and then I come here for most of the time where I'm working on 2.4 acres, going to be establishing quite a large orchard here.
Okay, can we take a look at that?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we can take a look. Right now, these are giant gum trees that I'm taking down, and pine trees, and a lot of invasive privet, and a lot of overgrowth. But where we're standing, I'm taking down trees, and we're going to be putting in about 75 fig trees.
Oh, wow.
Mostly very interesting varieties that are hard to come by, or varieties that you don't hear of often.
What's the purpose of having those?
I'm interested, obviously, making money.
Yes.
Which is
low supply, high demand.
Correct.
Yep,
and
okay.
It's something that I'm, working on, because in a dream world, money doesn't exist, and I get to give things away for free, and people get to experience food and flowers and nature and so many things, but that's not, unfortunately, our reality. Making money. And I've always been into just different things that you haven't heard of, things that are wacky, unusual, things that you might not see normally. That's kind of my shtick.
So the wacky, unusual, do they grow around here, or do you have to do special things to get them to grow?
We're gonna see. I got all of these plants from a small farmer in Philly, like Pennsylvania area. Okay. He has a greenhouse, and he's been sourcing really interesting figs. It took me a long time to kind of find where I wanted to do and buy figs from.
Why is that?
There's supply, demand. It seems like maybe since 2020, when COVID happened, there is a lot of gardening happening, a lot of growing happening, and I think that's really awesome and exciting. But as a grower, it's been really hard to source like bulk product, or product that I find is not sick or diseased coming in. I find that like my, say tubers, say I grow dahlias, I've noticed that my dahlias have been coming in with a lot of disease, crown gall, things like that.
So it's like there's so much demand that
It
the
seems
quality
like
has
the quality has
decreased.
gone down. That's just my experience
Gotcha.
in the past maybe 5-6 years.
Okay.
It seems like it's been kind of a decline. I think it's just the demands. So it took me a while to find what I wanted, and I was lucky enough to buy those trees. I am using money with the USDA.
Okay.
I'm getting grants through the USDA. Through the NRCS, I was given a grant, and that money was put towards these trees. And that will be here where we're
Sweet.
standing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got figs, you said citrus.
Yeah, I got some crazy cool citrus. I've got some guavas, some really just some fun stuff.
You said that they're on the back.
Yeah.
You want to go look at those?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, what we're looking at now is just taking away a bunch of invasive stuff, overgrowth, a lot of years of non-maintenance, but it's really cool because what I'm unearthing is that somebody did care about this place once, and I'm finding some really cool old camellia bushes, some really cool old just like hollies and really cool interesting things. So someone did care about this place once. Like our magnolias in the front, I have one here and one over there that we'll look at, is just absolutely gorgeous, and they've definitely been growing for a long time.
That's awesome.
But yeah, right now just taking down trees that
Okay.
are too close to the house, things
Yeah.
like that. The house is also another project. I'm a sucker for pain. We love doing a million projects at once. But yeah, right now a lot of dormancy.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, oh yeah, we got
nice.
some olives. I forgot about our olives. But yeah, just some really cool varieties that I'm really excited about. They're all pretty dormant right now, but I'm hoping to get them in, honestly, mid-February, end of February would be the best. That's kind of what's suggested here in southern Louisiana.
Yeah. And you're doing this all on your own?
Yeah. I have help from family and friends
Okay.
from time to time.
When you need it?
When I need it,
Yeah.
yeah. They definitely have helped a lot, and they come through when they can, but it's mostly me. I had my first woofer for the first time last month, and
Yeah.
that was really awesome. Her name was Hillary, and she was great. We got so much accomplished, and that was really awesome because I've used that program. That's how I kind of started farming, and so to have someone here, it was really cool. We're gonna see what happens if I can maybe get some more help.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's me.
Okay. Very cool. Very
Sure,
cool.
yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it is.
How is that? I mean, okay, so yeah, it's cool,
hard.
but you're a one-woman show, and
Yeah.
you know, some would say, a little less than 2.5 acres isn't a lot, but when you're by yourself,
It
that
is.
actually is a lot.
It's a lot.
How are
It
you
can become
managing
so
that?
unmanageable. So yeah, like when I left last summer.
California.
I left last summer. When I left here, I planted some really cool okra, and mostly tarped the whole field. That was my saving grace, that if I had not tarped, it would have been another forest. So where my garden is now, when I first got the property and we closed, this was kind of the first area that I attacked because I just wanted to start planting. I was so ready to just start seeing how things were going to grow, what could grow, how it grows, what the soil is, what's going on. And so this was forested. I had someone come in with a tractor. They took out some trees and they tilled it up for me. And so that's the only time it's been tilled. I don't have any machinery. I just use a broad fork, which is out in the field just sitting there where it shouldn't be. But so no mechanization, just me. I'm bringing in some outputs, some wood chips, some other things to add, but I'm not tilling. I'm not taking anything out. I'm not double digging. The soil is just too clay.
Okay.
I tried that.
So
I got
you're
about
just
2
building.
rows in, and I was like, okay.
So you're just building on top of it.
I'm trying to just build on top. We're going to
Okay.
see how it works. It's been doing pretty well for me right now.
So you said that you use the Wolfer program to get started in farming. So what is your background then?
Mostly service industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was working in New Orleans. I moved there when I was 18, and I connected with somebody, a really good friend who I'm still friends with. And over the years, she left New Orleans. And we kept in touch, but she started farming and we were so close. I was really interested. I went and saw her at a farm in California because she was also from California. And she was working on a 300-acre organic farm in the Central Valley of California.
Wow.
So mechanization, big time, just really big operation. But to see food and flowers en masse like that, I was just enthralled. It was really cool to still be involved in food and people, but not so much in a service way.
Yeah.
And relying on that for money just felt different. I felt more rich in community and just overall well-being.
Interesting, feeling rich in community versus rich in monetary value.
Yeah, and enthralled by it. And I knew what she was doing wasn't something I wanted to do. So
You mean on that kind of scale?
on that kind of scale,
Okay.
yeah. It just didn't feel right for me.
Okay.
But I was like, okay, let's look at this WOOF program. And I found a really cool farm in Southern Oregon. It was a blueberry farm. It was near the coast. It was pretty magical. Fell in love. Just being able to be outside every day in nature, working with my hands and other people. It just felt really amazing. After that, I thought, okay, I want to be serious about it. I don't want to do so much the woofing. I found a schooling program. It's called Rogue Farm Corps. It's in Southern Oregon. Essentially what they do is they put you on a farm. You get a small stipend with that farm monthly. And then there was classes and programs, and we were touring other farms, and we had some homework and some things like that. But really just being able to go to other farms every week, seeing different farms, dairy and meat and veggies and flowers and seeds and so on and so forth. It was really just amazing to get that experience. And I suggest anybody who's interested in farming, just trying to see as many farms as possible before you jump out and do it yourself.
Why is that?
To see what you don't want to do.
What a great point.
Yeah, to see how to do it differently, or how it would work for you better, or to just to talk to people and see how they do it, why they do it that way. And if that's not in alignment with you, maybe you see another farm that's more in alignment with what you value or what you see yourself doing. And so for me, my farm right now is a mashup of a bunch of things that I've taken from other farmers, and we're trying to see how it works.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're doing interesting blends.
What kind of cover crops do we have
Okay,
here?
so we have oats and peas and turnips and mustards. Trying to pull up some nitrogen, trying to just create biomass. My soil is very clay. Just trying to create something to help liven up everything. What we're looking at over here is a lot of wood chipped aisles. I was really inspired by somebody in Southern Oregon. His name is Scott Good. He is a soil scientist, and he grows these amazing sunflowers, these like 17-foot sunflowers. Wow. And they're strictly to put in the aisles. They have like these composted aisles, which in a dream world one day maybe I can incorporate that. This is a kind of a small scale idea of trying to just add some biomass in the aisles. But what he would do is dig up the aisles, lay the sunflowers down, and create homes. You know, the sunflowers are, this big.
Right.
So just creating homes and food for all of those worms, and just unbelievable. But right now I'm using wood chips. When I'm done with the mulch, I move that onto the aisles, and I bring in new mulch.
Oh, good idea.
I try to not incorporate the same mulch too much. I find that creates weed seeds and just fungus, disease, things like that. But yeah, cool cover crop mixes. Right here is just wheat. I am gonna harvest the wheat. I'm gonna see how many wheat berries I can get and how much I can dry and how much flour, say, this small little plot can give me.
I've always wondered that myself. Like when COVID hit, I was like, could we mill our own?
Could we?
And on our acreage, I was like, I don't think we could make enough.
I don't think we can either. But it's gonna be an interesting little experiment.
Yeah.
And again, just some more biomass. I'll cut the tops off and then cut it, chop and drop, have it lay there.
Yeah.
I'll use tarps. I'm probably gonna start tarping. We're supposed to get down to 19 degrees this coming week.
Oof, yeah, I saw that.
For a couple days, but that's just enough time to,
kill off
freeze
some
stuff.
of these.
Yeah, so lots of turnips, just trying to create some aeration in the soil. Just kind of anything really. The soil was pretty poor when I got here. So these like 4 rows and this like 4 rows over here you can see is pretty uneven. That's still pretty uneven from when the person came with the tractor and lifted up the forested area here.
Gotcha.
You can kind of see that.
So this was wooded here and you got it cleared.
Correct. It wasn't fully wooded, say like this, but it was
Right.
definitely overgrown in a lot of spots.
Okay. So what are you going to plant after the cover crops? What, do you
Right
have like
here
a
is
mapping?
yeah, summer crops are coming in here soon. I'm gonna start a bunch of stuff, tomatoes and lots of veggies, squash and different things like that, as well as a lot of summer flowers.
So you mentioned cash flow, right?
Yeah.
So are you selling these products then, or is this just for you to
This
eat?
season is going to be the first time that I'm trying to sell here in this area. Last season when I came in, I was growing strictly just to see what I could manage, what's
Okay.
going on. And that was really cool.
Yeah.
And even then I was able to dry a lot of flowers. I was able to do a lot of cool stuff last
okay.
season where I incorporated that into wreaths this fall and I got to sell those.
Oh, nice. So you're trying to add some income.
Here and
Here
there,
where you can.
always.
Yeah.
I think that I do some value added, I do some teas and dried herbs. I'm kind of throwing stuff at a wall, trying
Yeah.
to see what sticks, you
Yeah,
know?
because you're not from this area.
No.
You haven't been here long.
I lived in New Orleans for about 7 years. That's
Okay.
kind of where I fell in love with this area specifically. I
Okay.
didn't just like go like, all right, let's go to Louisiana. I've had community here and I had chosen family here that I really missed and that I loved and that wanted me back and that I
Okay.
wanted to be back. But I couldn't see myself living in a city again after
Yeah.
being on farms, you
Yeah.
know, especially in Oregon and
What a
California
transition.
and all of these things. And my experience when living in New Orleans prior, I wasn't in a farm world. I was in a restaurant world. I was in a service industry world. So it's been really interesting to come back and try to see what's going on in these communities that do exist and that are here and try to get my way in them and see how I can serve the community and what they want. And so I'm kind of excited for spring. I went on Facebook and I'm one of those people that didn't have a Facebook, but there's so much Facebook usage here. And I said, okay, I'll get one. I got one for the business and I went out and I said, hey, would people be interested in, you pick flowers? And I got such an interesting response. There was so much response. So I'm really excited for spring. We're gonna.
You said an interesting response, so I assume that's positive.
So many people. My phone would not stop buzzing with like notifications.
That's
I was like, oh
awesome.
my God, this is so exciting.
Very cool. So are you working off the farm then to supplement income?
A couple days a week.
Okay. Are you
Yeah.
still in the service industry?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't get away. Once you're in it, you can't get
Well,
away.
and it sounds like there's maybe a passion there for food and nutrition.
Absolutely, absolutely. And something about connecting with people over food when people are happy and they're smiling and they're just, it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
It's really, really nice. And I get goosebumps because I just
Aw.
love that. I love sitting around a table with people myself, and being around people and sharing stories and connecting and like tasting good food and being like, oh my God, this is amazing, Yes, still kind of working in that field, which is exciting because the place that I work supports me. If I did have enough crop for them, they totally would buy stuff from me when I'm ready.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful relationship to have.
It is. Yeah, it's really exciting, especially when I'm small scale like this. It's nice to find people that are available to take small stuff and maybe run a special with it or do something special instead of having a big crop, right? Because that's kind of my downfall in my California location. It's very small in comparison to this, and I can never grow enough. The demand is so high there for food that
Yeah.
I've kind of switched gears and I've started maybe doing some seed stuff there, where like here the demand for food is high as well, but I could also maybe do some small stuff here, right? Special foods here and maybe a little pick here, and then I can sell wholesale flowers a little bit here.
Right.
Kind of doing a little bit of everything to just kind of see what's going to feel good
Yeah.
and bring the most money and support the farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my visions and goals for the farm. But yeah, this high tunnel, we just put this high tunnel up. This went up, I don't know, 3 weeks ago.
Ooh, so brand new.
Brand new. Again, this is also from the NRCS program with the USDA. I highly suggest that people look into it.
Now, I haven't seen this kind of high tunnel before with the 2x4s on the top and the rails like this. Is this like a special kind?
This
or...
is this was a taller option that I
Okay.
got. Normally it's a little smaller and you wouldn't need all of it. Like I think normally you're thinking or seeing something that's more like here maybe, and maybe you're
I would
thinking,
agree.
and it's like with like a brace like this almost
Yeah.
across the top, or another
Post. Yeah.
Is that what you're envisioning?
Yeah.
I think it's because I got a super tall one.
Okay. Why is
I'd,
that?
I'd like to plant some specialty stuff in here one day soon.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna come in here. I'm trying to level it out. I didn't level it before I built it, so
Okay.
that wasn't smart. But I was kind of on a time situation.
Yeah, you got to hurry up and wait with those USDA loans or USDA grants.
Yeah. There's a time frame in which you have to do it by, and you have to do it in a specific way, and definitely look into it, but know that there are some stipulations.
Right.
Like when I toured a bunch of farms, nobody told me all the logistics. They were like, yeah, you get a free high tunnel with the USDA, totally do it. I'm like, oh, a free high tunnel, sign me up.
Yeah.
You know, and then you do more research, and it's a little bit deeper than that. So I'm, for 5 years, I have to maintain this structure in a way that is safe and there's no holes in the plastic, and they can pop by at any time and say, let's take a look at that greenhouse. How is that structure holding up? You maintaining it?
Do you have to grow anything specific in here for them?
I don't.
Okay.
No.
In Indiana, theirs is a tomato program.
Only tomatoes?
I don't know why it's tomatoes, but yeah, you
Interesting.
have to grow tomatoes in it for 5
Interesting.
years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's straight, and then after that, it's yours. You can do whatever you want
That's
with. But I'm
so
like,
fascinating.
5 years. That's a long
And
time.
and I also wonder if you're having to provide certain documentation around what your tomatoes look like within
No.
those 5 years. No. Interesting. You
Because
just have to grow tomatoes.
you'd think it'd be a research project, right? Like they want to see what zones are growing,
Right.
how,
Like,
and where,
and what happens in the high tunnel with
Nope.
the tomatoes.
It's just if they pop out and there's not tomatoes in there, you're in
That
big
is
trouble.
so interesting.
Yeah, it's a little strange. So like you said, like watch out for those little caveats.
Yeah,
that,
absolutely.
Free money isn't always free.
It's not. There's always something. Always.
Yeah.
And so right now what I'm going to do is I'm leveling it out. I'm going to come in with a bunch of wood chips because I'm going to build raised beds in here.
Ooh, okay.
You can only do a foot. You can't go any higher. That's the stipulation with the
Okay.
USDA. That was one of the stipulations. You can't build like a 3-foot raised bed, although that would be crazy cool. It'd be really expensive to fill it, but again, with the clay soil, I have some things I want to grow that just dahlias.
Okay.
I love them so much. They're so beautiful. I've been playing with them for a couple years. I have one that I grew from seed that I'm kind of babying and seeing if I can't make a lot of tubers of that. But they don't like this soil. They don't like waterlog. They don't like rotting in this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put about a foot in here. That's going to be soon, hopefully in the next couple weeks. I'm trying to do that. That's my main project that I'm working on right now.
Very cool.
Because I got all the spring stuff planted for the most part. I
Yeah.
don't have anything else to plant until summer stuff.
So you leave here.
Yes, I leave here in June-ish.
And you said that you tarp everything. But
do.
is there any other things that you have to worry about managing? Like, what if bad weather comes through? What do you have neighbors that help you out, or what do you do?
Yeah. I do have a neighbor down the street. She's been fantastic.
Okay.
The hay bale that we saw earlier,
That's from her.
She gave it to me yesterday because I was like, hey, she has horses. And I said, gosh, the weather's getting so cold. I need some mulch. Do you have any hay that's been rotting or anything? And she was came through. So I have a whole bale. It's going to be great. I'll be able to mulch everything
That's
before
awesome.
our 19-degree weather. But yeah, a little bit about what this is. I've got the garden back here. What we're looking at here is I have that small little lean-to back there. This small building here is my pump house with the well. Everything I do is dry farmed. I don't have any plastic lines. I don't run any drip tape. I don't do anything.
Why?
I'm interested in seeing how plants can grow and how they can do it themselves.
Without being
babied, without being maintained. I come through when I first plant them, I put the hose on it. I have just a sprinkler hose that I put out with the hose. It's just a simple waterer. And I water things when I first put them in, or say when I drop cover crop seed, I water it for a week, maybe every other day. And then I leave it. Things seem to be pretty good here. There's obviously some patches that are less lush than, say, where we were at over there.
Right.
Same amount of seed was dropped over here. It's just not getting enough water. The water's all draining that way.
Right. So what's your premise in doing that? Is it just like to see what happens, like an experiment, or is there an ideology behind it?
It's seeds, it's general output from me, financial wise. It's a multitude of things for me personally. But I think at the end of the day, it's really just to see how things can survive. That's what I want to maintain. I want to grow stuff. I want to save seed that I can share with neighbors and with other people in the larger community or region. And it can grow, and it can grow without fail, without a lot of babying from these people, and they can feed themselves, or they can have enough flowers to bring pollinators to their gardens.
So you're trying to show people that it doesn't have to be so much input.
Correct. As well as it's fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun to see like what plants do. I once you start seeding and like seeing how things grow and sprout and survive or die, I can't tell you how sad it. My heart still breaks when I walk outside and something's dead or it didn't germinate or.
But you're interested in the why, not the personal input that you can put in to make it not happen next time, for the most part.
For the most part. Correct. And I'm funneling out things that work, right? And things that don't work. And so over the summer, I did have a small vegetable garden and a small flower garden that I left while I tarped everything else. And I had some cameras up, and I was that crazy lady that would be pulling up her garden, looking and seeing how it's growing, what's happening. Yeah, so I tarped most of it. I did a cover crop, and then I had a small garden that I kind of kept an eye on. And so when I came back, lots of stuff thrived. I was stoked. I saved so much seed that I'm so excited to start soon enough again to see how it goes. But again, just some really interesting flowers and a lot of cool sunflowers that lasted a long time and provided food for birds and just shade for the soil. And it's hot down here.
Yeah.
It's really hot.
So speaking of being hot, when you tarp everything in the hottest part of the year, does it kill anything off? Or? It
killed, so yeah, I was a little worried about like microbial life and maybe getting too hot. But when I came back, I don't feel like that was the case. I felt like I let my cover crop get almost too high and like a little, again, because it's all an experiment kind of for me. I did let my cover crop last season pretty much go to seed. And so I was saving crimson clover seed, and pretty much I just wanted to create a lot of biomass. So I tarped. It was probably here. So I'm curious, I'm wondering if the amount of product was a small layer between the microbial life. Because when I got back and I untarped it, it was beautiful. Okay. I threw the cover crop seeds right on top of the old dead cover crop. I didn't have to do anything. Wow. I didn't step on it with a broad fork. I didn't do anything. It just fell in the old cover crop and started coming up beautifully over there.
Very cool. That's interesting, because you'd think that a lot of people will tarp, especially when it's hot, to kill off whatever is there.
And then you have to pull it out.
It killed it killed the plants, but you're saying that underneath was actually pretty healthy.
Pretty healthy for the most part, from what I could tell. I was really worried about it, but it seemed good.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's exciting.
Yeah.
What we're looking at here is like a little driveway. My acreage goes in here, and I haven't even started looking at anything over here.
Oh, wow.
This is essentially what everything looks like over there, over here in the garden. Dense.
Very.
And this is mostly invasive privet. And what it's taking over is, let's see if we can find one. Right here, Yupon, which is a native. It's the only caffeinated plant in America. Native Americans would make tea with it. You can take the top or new growth and make tea with it.
Okay.
But again, it's...
So is this something you want to keep, or something that you
I would like to keep. I'm trying to keep it.
Okay.
And I'm trying to teach, my family when they come and help me clean out stuff.
What the difference is.
Yeah, but for the normal eye, you wouldn't, you know what I mean? You wouldn't tell.
It's a little hard to tell the difference.
Yeah, totally. When it's dense like this and you want to start cleaning it out, and you're just like...
And it looks like they're growing
they
together.
They grow very close. Yeah.
Like on top of each other.
Pretty much. Oh. So yeah, it's been hard to kind of clean out. I'm doing everything by hands. But again, this is like a crazy cool camellia back here. This one right here.
Oh, that dark one?
Mm-hmm. It creates these like very beautiful pink flowers, and then I have another one over there that creates these red ones that are just magnificent.
Oh, I see some up there.
But again, it's been cool to kind of clean out. People did plant some beautiful stuff. Again, these magnolia trees are, I feel like they have to be at least 50 something years old.
Is that what those are that
Yeah,
I've been seeing?
yeah, they're beautiful. We love the magnolias. Yeah, the flowers should be coming around soon, hopefully. But yeah, this like little alcove, I have a little dream of putting a little studio space right here for maybe an artist or like a residency situation in the future. Yeah, would love to have some events out here.
And you've got a power pole here, so you could probably pull power.
Yeah, I could. And then kind of in this denser area here where that like well pump house is and the little lean-to, I'm gonna put an outside kitchen in this space, a little outdoor bathroom, and kind of just like a cool lounge space. It's gonna take some years. But yeah, the dream is to have a nice space here where I can have other parts of community, whether it's service industry or creatives or kids and schools or just, again, people in the community. I would love to work with like incarcerated people and or people, family members of incarcerated people. That's like, I am one of those people, so that is something I would love to like help and do.
Then, and we don't have to put this on camera if you don't want to, but why? So you said you're one of those people, but
I think it's important to have community and community that are in the same like-mindedness, that are having the same experiences, that are having the same trauma or I think it's really important to be around people that you can share these things with. And I just want to provide a space where people can do that. I don't necessarily need to lead it, but I would like to provide a space where people can come in and feel safe to do so. I'd love to have people come out here and do a yoga class, you know. We don't have goats or anything wacky. We're not doing goat yoga, but, you know, just to be out in nature and to be out here in a quiet space, I think is important.
Out here.
It's very quiet.
It's very peaceful.
There's sometimes on the weekends you might hear some gunshots. We're around, you know, we're around some hunting camps. For the most part, it's awesome out here. My garden right now, mostly everything back there is perennial flowers that I just needed to get in the ground. But I'm thinking in the fall, I'm hoping to have worked on this space between the azalea wall right here and have kind of a really nice meandering cottage garden with beautiful perennials where the neighbors can come by or people can come and walk it, you know.
Would you then be interested in like wild foraging or?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Cool.
It is cool. Just some really cool, like some of my there's like a gardenia under this magnolia that's huge. Again, must be 40 something, 50 something years old, I think.
Wow. So you have such a passion for community and togetherness.
Yes.
And you're really diving into the fact that most of the time what brings people together is food. Where does that come from? Is it just something that you've always had or just a desire that you've had? Or where does that come from?
So growing up, for the first several years of my life, me and my mom were together all the time. My dad was in and out of the picture, incarcerated.
Okay.
And so there were times where me and my mom, we didn't eat a lot or didn't have enough to eat. So there's some trauma there, you know. So I think it's pretty deep rooted and it starts pretty young. But even more so than that, we moved on from that. And my mom was so awesome and we got to travel a lot. She took us everywhere she could, right? That's why I fell in love with New Orleans, is because she would travel down here. We would go to a music festival or we'd come for Mardi Gras. And so within my travels, again, I went to Europe when I was like 13, you know?
Wow.
Some really amazing stuff. And within those travels, just seeing different cultures, and how food is the language that we all can. It's like a universal language.
Everyone knows to eat.
We all know it. We all enjoy it for the most part. And it's, again, just so universal. So within my travels, getting to see that, I think that was a really big passion. Again, I love food. I love sharing food with people. I love the community in which it brings, just the chattering, you know? Just like a loud restaurant is kind of like a heaven for me, right? Just like happiness. It is a total energy sort of vibration thing. Yeah.
And that's why you're in the service industry too.
Still, yeah.
Yeah.
Can't get away. And it's nice to get off the farm. To be completely frank, I'm out here alone. It's lonely. I don't want people to like, I don't know. I want people to know too that it's not always like, you know, you can look on Instagram and you can look at all these places and you're like, oh, a flower farm. ooh, I'm gonna grow my own vegetables, or I'm gonna have some chickens. And then all of a sudden you're doing the work and you're like, this is hard. This is really difficult.
I swear it's harder when you're by yourself.
Oh, it's so much harder. And so, yeah, I've been just patiently waiting. I think I'm building it and they will come. I know that's a really silly kind of sentiment and that sometimes people say it, but I'm doing it and it's happening. It's slow, but it's steady.
And you're happy.
And I'm happy. I'm so happy. And it's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard sometimes, but for the most part, I'm extremely thankful. I'm lucky. I get to spend most of my days outside in the sun, hearing birds, within nature, hanging out with my dog. Again, sharing this space with friends or family, or hopefully one day soon, other parts of the community. I wasn't quite ready for it last season, but I'm ready for some other people to start coming in and seeing what's going on here.
Yeah. All too often people get into farming or homesteading even, and they want to immediately have those returns.
Oh, you want instant satisfaction.
Yeah, but you can't if you've never done it. Maybe you've done it through other farms, or maybe you even had another farm, but if you're on a new property, like you said about your soil, I mean, you can't always grow certain things here.
No, you can't. And you have to be open to listening and hearing that it's not going to work out. My heart is constantly broken by things that don't work out here because it's too hot or it's too humid. Like I'm not sure I'm going to be able to grow peonies here, but maybe that's just a luxury that I get to grow in my alpine garden in California,
Yeah.
But that's the reality, is like you can't grow everything everywhere.
So having two places to manage, that seems a little hard too.
Yeah.
How do you manage being kind of in two places at once?
Well, I'm pretty lucky. My place in California, again, it starts to snow.
Right.
And it's pretty cold. It's a small garden, mostly all raised beds in my mom's garden.
Okay.
And then I've slowly taken over neighbors' yards.
Okay.
So I'm taking over this kind of like a half block. I have 3 other like homes that I have gardens in, and a small community center that I grow in. And again, with the snow, it's easy, right? Because everything goes to bed. I plant tulips mostly, daffodils, things that'll come up early for me, and then I plant stuff after the fact.
What do you do with those flowers? Do you sell them?
I do, yeah. There's like a small coffee shop that has taken over. It's a very small town, a total food desert. And it sounds silly to say.
That's not silly at all. We are seeing so many food deserts right now.
It's just crazy. And that's kind of another passion that I have. I grew up there. I didn't know. What you see is ranchers. You see lots of cattle and a lot of alfalfa grown. And that's because Los Angeles Department of Water and Power owns pretty much all the all the lands. So there isn't much land for, say, me to buy and then grow a garden, just like serve a community. There's not a lot of land access, and a lot of the land that's being bought is, private, and nobody's gardening or growing for the community. Making private retreats or just being second homeowners mostly is what I find, because again, it's a ski town. So in the winter time, you want to come up and ski, and then, maybe you come up a couple times in the summer, but it's a second home because you live in LA and it's fun. But anyways, it's easy there to put it to bed because it's not a lot of space and not a lot going on right now. It's so cold. Easy to manage because it's smaller scale. We're gonna see how it works out this season. There are things that we're just gonna keep changing and trying to do differently because things don't always work out the way you want. And there's a lot of learning, I don't know anybody else that's really going and farming in 2 different places. If you're out there, hit me up. I would love to talk. I would love to talk to some other people because it's hard. I don't feel like I get a break, Winter time for a lot of farmers, they at least get to, you're always working, If you're ordering seeds, you're crop planning, you're always kind of working, but you're not so much doing the hard labor. But it feels like for me, I'm just going back and forth and planting and starting seeds, and I drove across the country with lots of seeds last season. We're not going to do that this season. We're going to try to get some people to help us out, maybe start some seeds for us.
Okay.
We're learning.
Yeah.
But look at all these fun mushrooms.
Oh my goodness.
I see a lot of cool mushrooms, a lot of cool fungus happening around here. Lots of, I don't know, lots of fun life. I'm so excited to nurture it and see how it can grow. You can kind of see with my property too how it starts to go down.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. My neighbor's property becomes pretty swampy.
Okay.
And so I'm trying to maybe retain as much of that water here as possible before it flows to the other.
I'm sure your neighbors will appreciate that as well.
I think so too, because for the most part, that's a flood situation
Yeah.
sometimes. But hopefully with a nice orchard, lots of other natives planted, hedgerows, it's going to be beautiful.
You're going to have your own little oasis here.
Totally. It's going to be exciting, and I can't wait to share with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are going to have to come back.
We will definitely.
Yeah.
If there's anybody in the area, or not necessarily in the area, but if there's anybody out there who's farming in 2 locations, you would love to meet up with them.
Totally.
And talk your own struggles and successes together.
Even if they're on like 2 different plots. I've done that before too, and it's really difficult to grow somewhere and to grow somewhere else, right? I'm lucky because I have mostly reduced it all to a block in California, but there was a moment there where I was driving like 45 minutes out there to try another garden somewhere else. It's hard. You leave your tools somewhere. Anybody. I would love to talk to anybody, even if it's in 2 different plots around a city. It's tough.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Is there anything else that's like on your heart that you just want to share? Maybe advice? Anything that you'd like to give people?
Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are so many other parts of agriculture that people can be a part of. You don't always have to be a farmer. You don't always have to be doing the hard work, the backbreaking work, you know. There are many layers of agriculture where people can jump in and participate, whether that's going to your local farmer's market, buying food from your local farmers, being a part of a CSA, signing petitions, local restaurants, just being aware of different bills that might be coming up and how you can vote differently or accordingly. Just really participating in it, because for the most part, small-scale farmers are what's holding together our backbone here in California. In the United States, the world. Small-scale farmers are what's holding it together. Participating and giving money and or time or sharing on Facebook or any type of effort supporting those small-scale farmers are what's gonna keep us together in times of need.
Maybe go have dinner with a friend.
Go have dinner with a friend at a local restaurant that serves local food.
Yes.
Yes.
From you.
From me. Yeah, I'd love to have like little farm dinners here, farm breakfasts, tea parties. Yeah, just like little events where people can come out and just sit outside.
Yeah.
Cut a couple flowers or eat a nice little farm-made meal.
I love the idea of a tea party.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. It's like my favorite.
Exactly.
I have some tea blends. I'm gonna give you some before you leave. But again, or even making tea blends, right? Like I dry a bunch of herbs and we can come over and you can make your own little tea blend, and then we sit there and you drink your tea together. You know, I
love it. Yeah.
There's so many cool things and fun things, and I just want to share that with people because it's important. I didn't get that a lot growing up, not because it just wasn't an option where I lived. We didn't have that. Yeah. So growing up and seeing that there are communities that have the availability to provide spaces like that, I want to do it. I want to provide it.
Well, thank you, Samantha, so much
for coming by.
For having me out. And any links that you have talked about or shared, or your social medias, any of your websites?
Instagram and a website is my most. I just got a Facebook. I don't know how to use it.
I feel like us millennials are really like...
I deleted it once and then it was like 10 years went by and I was like, I gotta get one for the...
get
one for the business. Especially out here in rural parts, people aren't so privy to the other social medias. I only have Instagram, but Instagram, Facebook, my website.
We'll put all of those links in the description.
Yeah, I would love to hear from other people, anybody that has ideas. Again, there's a lot of people down here that I haven't gotten to connect with in southern Louisiana, other farmers, California farmers, people farming in 2 other places, women farmers, just anybody, the communities. We got to stick together.
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
well,
thanks for coming out.
Thank you again.
Yeah.